विद्यास्य रूपमधिकम् प्रच्छन्नगुप्तं धनम् विद्याभोगकरी यशः सुखकरी विद्या गुरुणा गुरुः विद्याबन्धुजनो विदेशगमने विद्या परं दैवतम् विद्याराजसु पूज्यते न तु धनम् विद्याविहीनः पशुः विद्या प्रशस्यते लोकैः विद्या सर्वत्र गौरवा विद्यया लभते सर्वम् विद्वान् सर्वत्र पूज्यते ज्ञानेन सदृशं पवित्रमिह विद्यते न हि ज्ञानेन सदृशं पवित्रमिह विद्यते न हि ज्ञानेन सदृशं पवित्रमिह विद्यते।
Dr. Samrat Gangurde is working as an assistant professor in the Department of Accountancy at the Dahanukar College of Commerce from 2015. He has done his M.Com, then he had a stint of teaching students at his alma mater for a brief period of time. Primarily interested in accountancy, he is also a CA interqualified and currently pursuing his CA final. He qualified his UGC, SET and NET exam. He is also shouldering the responsibility of being the M.Com coordinator at Dahanukar College of Commerce. He is the resource person not only for NEP sessions at postgraduate level but also for guidance lectures at various colleges at the undergraduate and the postgraduate level. He also worked as NSS Programme officer and area coordinator of Mumbai Suburban district of University of Mumbai. After joining Dahanukar College of Commerce, he completed his doctoral research and obtained his Ph.D. degree from the Research Center of our college in November 2021 under the supervision and able guidance of Professor Dr. Kanchan Fulmali. His research topic was a study of financial inclusion among tribal people with reference to Selected Tehsils of Palghar district. Let's welcome Vidyavachspati, Dr. Samrat Gangurde.
PTVS Vidyavachspati, a doctoral thesis presentation on a study of financial inclusion and its impact on the tribal people with reference to Select Tehsils of Palghar district. This is the topic of my Ph.D. thesis. My name is Dr. Samrat Gangurde, Assistant Professor, Department of Accountancy in Dahanukar College of Commerce. I have completed my Ph.D. under the guidance of Professor Dr. Kanchan Fulmali Madam, Principal Dahanukar College of Commerce, and my center was also the Dahanukar College of Commerce. Friends, before starting about the content or about the struggle of my PhD thesis, I would like to emphasize that before selecting the topic or before selecting my title of my research thesis, I have applied this INM model. So I would like to make aware of this INM model to the upcoming researcher. Friends, my topic was a study of financial inclusion among the tribal people with the Selected Tehsils of Palghar district. So what I tried to find out while selecting the topic, that it should be interesting. Okay, so my I stands for interesting for me as well as to the audience for whom I am going to make this thesis, for whom it going to be useful. So it should be interesting from all the perspective that I have taken care. Secondly, I belong to the accountancy field, so finance is my major area, I will say. So it is also creating interest for me as well as for the respondents as well as for the audience who are going to use this research thesis. So finding out the interest in your research topic is most important. Secondly, novelty. Your topic should be new, your topic should be current, your topic should be useful to the upcoming generation, the upcoming conditions in the field wherever you are doing the research. As I am from the commerce background, so my majorly field belongs to the financial aspects, and the need of finance in every sector is much needed, whether it is past, present or future. So novelty in my topic was already involved. Thirdly and most importantly, your topic should be manageable to you. While selecting the topic, you should be able to understand that the topic is manageable to you. The data which you are going to collect is manageable to you. Okay, so the novelty was there. The financial literacy among the tribal is very less, as we are aware of that compared to urban areas, rural areas are not that much developed or are not that much aware of the financial positions or the financial mechanism available in the market or the financial provisions available in the area where they belongs. So tribal was the target area. Secondly, I live in Mumbai, I work in Mumbai. As Palghar is very near to me, on the distance within 2 or 3 hours I will reach over there. So while collecting the data, I can easily have the access to the respondent. I can easily have the access to the things which I need for my studies. So your data should be manageable to you. So according to that, you should be practical while selecting your topic. Here is the flow of my thesis, where you can see it start with finance. As we know, the finance is the lifeblood of any organization, any community, any households. Secondly, the financial literacy should be there to handle the finance, to know the source of finance. So as my respondent was tribal, the financial literacy among there was very poor. Thirdly, the financial inclusion among them were very less. So as my thesis emphasizes to have the development of finance among the tribal, there should be financial literacy firstly developed, which will generate the financial inclusion among them, and which will lead to the growth of overall economy. For example, as businesses needed the finance for their growth, because of the finance the business will grow. Because of the growth of the business, they will generate the employability, and which will ultimately will be beneficial to this tribal people as well as the people who are in the need, and which will ultimately generate or upgrade their standard of living. So that is the ultimate growth of the financial growth among them. While developing the financial literacy among them, there are different challenges and efforts. Because they are not educated, it is very difficult to make understand them about the financial mechanism available in the market, the financial sources available in the market. It was very difficult and it was very challenging. Progress report of Maharashtra, as the government is introducing different schemes, different financial schemes for the development of the tribal community. So these schemes should be communicated to them, whether it is a health scheme, whether it is an insurance scheme, whether it is an employment scheme. Different financial schemes are introduced by government that should be communicated to them, That is also the one of the objective of my thesis. Financial services available in the market through the financial sources, banking sources, government sources, non-governmental sources are also there, NGOs are there, that sources should be made available to them. Financial inclusion develops or generates the growth of the economy. While implementing such schemes, such options to the tribal people, there are some successes, there are some failures also. So to look out that success, to look out that failures is also one of the objective of my thesis. Friends, as my research area was Palghar, Palghar is one of the district in the Indian states of Maharashtra and a district in Konkan region. On 1st August 2014, the Maharashtra state government declared the creation of a new Palghar district from the old Thane district, making it the 36th district in Maharashtra. Dahanu is the starting location point of Palghar district and Naigaon is the last location. It contains 8 tehsils including Palghar, Vasai, Wada, Dahanu, Talasari, Jawar, Vikramgarh and Mokhada. Here I have selected few tehsils. Out of the 8 tehsils, I have selected 6 tehsils which has the major tribal population, which were Wada, Dahanu, Talasari, Jawar, Vikramgarh and Mokhada, having the maximum tribal, so that I will get the maximum data from this area. So I have selected this 6 tehsils of the Palghar district. Friends, these are the objectives of my study: to find out the financial awareness and knowledge among the tribal people. Are they aware of the financial mechanism available for them? Have they knowledge of this financial mechanism? Do they have the financial literacy? So this was my primary objective, whether they are aware or they have the knowledge of the financial mechanism available in the market for them. To examine the financial inclusion and its impact on the tribal people through the annual income of the tribal people and the banking activities. So I am going to examine in this thesis, I was trying to examine in this thesis the financial inclusion and its impact on the tribal people through observing their annual income and the banking activities in which they are involved. Whether they have the bank accounts, whether they don't have the bank accounts, if they have the bank accounts, what kind of bank accounts they have, for what purposes they are using the bank account, and if they don't have the bank account, then why, the reason behind that they don't prefer the bank accounts, whether the banking mechanisms are not reachable to them or whether they are not approaching to this banking activities. These are the some areas where I was trying to look upon. The third objective of my thesis was to find out the relationship between financial inclusion and various financial schemes in the selected tehsils. The government have tried a lot to have the financial development among these tribal areas, among these rural areas. For that, they have introduced various financial schemes. So what was the position of these financial schemes? Whether they are able to develop the financial inclusion among the tribal or not, whether these financial schemes are reachable to the tribal or not, whether these schemes are active in the tribal areas or not, whether the tribals are taking the benefits of these financial schemes or not. This was also the major area where I have tried to focus. To scrutinize the importance of financial schemes with the help of annual income for financial inclusion. Whatever annual income the tribals are generating, whether with that annual income they are able to opt for these schemes or not, whether they are able to get the benefits of these schemes or not, was this my area to be focused on. To verify the employment opportunity among the tribal through these financial schemes and thereby financial inclusion. Various schemes give the opportunities to the tribal to have the employment, whether the self-employment or the private sector employment or the government sector employment, whether these schemes are reachable to them or not, whether they are getting the employment generation, and because of this employment generation, is there any financial inclusion among the tribal area or not. To analyze the development of the tribal people of Palghar district, With this financial inclusion, whether there is a development among the tribal people or not, this was one of the major objectives of this thesis. And also, if there is no financial inclusion, or if there is financial inclusion at a very moderate rate, then how that financial inclusion can be upgraded, can be implemented by giving different suggestions and recommendations for the development of this tribal people to the government, to the society, and to the community was my objectives of the study. These were the 4 hypotheses which I have kept for the justification in my thesis. First was the financial inclusion does not depend on the banking activities in tribal areas. Financial inclusion depends on the banking activities in the tribal areas. So with the help of the banking activities, whether the financial inclusion can be developed, whether this financial inclusion is dependent on the development of the tribal people or not, was the thing I am supposed to find out over here. There is no significant relation between financial inclusion and employment due to financial schemes in tribal areas. There is a significant relation between the financial inclusion and development due to financial schemes in tribal areas. Due to this employment schemes which are introduced by the government of Maharashtra as well as the government of India, the employment generation is there or not. And because of these schemes, whether the tribals are able to uplift their day-to-day regular life or not, was my another hypothesis for the justification in my thesis. Financial inclusion does not depend on the financial schemes introduced by the government for the tribal areas, and financial inclusion depends whether these schemes are able to make the awareness of financial inclusion among the tribal areas or not. Whether these schemes are successful to make the financial inclusion among the tribal areas or not, was one of the hypotheses which I am justified in this thesis. There is no significant relationship between the financial inclusion among the tribal and their development. So there is a significant relationship between the financial inclusion and the tribal development or not. This was my 4th hypothesis for the justification in the thesis. Friends, to justify the hypothesis, we need different samples. So to have the proper sample for our justification is very, very important. For this, I have applied the sample design for the sample population and calculation. Here you can see the formula from which I have derived 660 sample size from this tribal area. I have prepared the questionnaire and I have circulated in the 6 tehsils which I have selected. The data was collected in the primary as well as in secondary ways. For primary ways, I have collected the questionnaire which was distributed among the 660 tribals in this 6 different tehsils, especially in villages. And for secondary data, I have referred to different books available in the market, available in the library stores, e-books which are available. Nowadays, e-books have very much easier access rather than the physical books. Research papers which are published by different authors, various journals which are listed on the UGC websites, articles from newspapers, thesis of Ph.D. scholars who have worked on this area earlier from various universities, from various magazines, blogs and various websites. This was the distribution of my questionnaire for my 6 selected tehsils. From Vada region, I have covered the villages which I have mentioned over here: Dabhan, Pinzal, Gorgaon, Ambepada, Mangrul, Peak and so on, where I have tried to collect the 111 questionnaires. From Dahanu, I have collected 137. From Vikramgarh, I have collected 91. From Talasari, I have collected 82. From Mokhada, I have collected 124. From Jawara, I have collected 115, which comes to 660. And in addition to that, I have tried to cover separate questionnaire from the employees of this tehsils, because the government is the one of the factor which plays an important role for the financial inclusion, and these employees is the part of that particular program or that particular schemes. So I've tried to also analyze their point of view regarding these financial schemes which are implemented by the government among the tribal areas. To justify this or to analyze this questionnaire, I have applied the statistical tools. For testing my hypothesis, I have applied various statistical tools. To name them, I have applied ANOVA, I have applied chi-square test, I have applied t-test, regression correlation frequency, and cumulative percentage methods. This questionnaire was contained 35 questions which have different parameters. I have analyzed their annual income, I have analyzed their financial awareness, I have analyzed their investment knowledge, I have analyzed their returns, what were they are expecting, I have analyzed their financial schemes which they adopt, which they reject, which they are not implemented in their areas. Certain limitations which I have faced during my research studies, as every research paper or every research thesis has certain limitations. In the similar way, I also come across different limitations in my studies. In tribal groups, the illiteracy is one of the major problems which I have faced. To communicate them what I am trying to do actually, what I am trying to find out actually was the major task which I have faced. It took a long time for me to make understand them what exactly my thesis is about. It was for them, not for any other purpose. So it was major task which I have come across to make them aware that exactly what kind of research I am doing and for what purpose I am research doing was the major things I have faced. The responses of some of the respondents might have influenced which might result in getting erroneous data, because they were afraid of little sharing their financial aspects or financial data with me. So sometimes they may have got influenced because of such things which they have to keep secret among them. Many of the respondents might have suppressed their original information. They may have hidden their present or current or actual financial status while giving the respondent to me. It was difficult to make target population respond or speak in a correct way because their language was something different, their local language was something different. I have to communicate with them in Marathi, but sometimes they were not able to understand the Marathi. So I have taken the help of the resident over there, which were known to me, and I tried to communicate through them. So that makes my job little easier. Without them, it was very much difficult for me to directly communicate with them. So communication was the main obstacle while collecting the questionnaire data from this respondent. Lack of updated data on tribals and its availability with the government. As I have to refer many government schemes, for that I needed many government data. So on the government website, the data was not that much updated which I wanted. It was as per the census 2011, that is 2011. So my thesis covered the period of 2017, 18, 19 as well as some part of 20 also. So managing with that data which was available was very much difficult, but I am thankful to the administrative staff of this 6 tehsils, especially Patil sir of Vikramgarh, who helped me a lot while getting the current data for the analysis of my thesis. One major thing which I come across when on the way of my completion or on the way of my collection of data was the pandemic, that is a lockdown due to COVID, because there were many hurdles, there were many restrictions to visit the different areas. I was staying in Kalyan and I have to visit all the way to the different district. So many restrictions I have come across, but the officials have supported me a lot by taking out the permission from them. They have supported, but it took a long time for me to collect the questionnaire from this particular area during the pandemic. A justification of my hypothesis, I will go it very quickly. I will not take that much of time. The researcher includes 6 variables such as number of bank accounts, loan taken, types of loan, sources of loan other than bank, insurance policies, and justification towards banking services for justifying first hypothesis. All these are financial related activities that can be done with the help of the tribal's annual income, which represents their financial literacy according to the analysis which I have done with the help of one way ANOVA. The sum of square was 348.165, while the square was 116.055 with DF3. The p value is less than 0.005, and here my null hypothesis is rejected. This is my justification of second hypothesis. There is significant relation between the financial inclusion and the employment, which I again try to justify with the statistical tools which I have applied, and also the third one, which depends on the financial schemes introduced by the government or not. Fourth hypothesis, there is a significant relationship between financial inclusion and the tribal people, which I have justified with the help of simple linear regression model. You can have a look over to that also. This was my major findings, which I have penned down in my thesis. In Palghar district, Konkan tribal community is majority with 40.90%, followed by Warli, which has 32.60% populations. Besides, there is also the presence of Mahadev Koli with 9.70% and the Katkari with 6.50 population. There are only 59 various types of banks with percentage of 12.18, which increased in 2020 up to 107 banks, which is very less as compared to the population of tribal, which is near about 29 lakhs around as per the census 2011. So as to serve to this 29 lakhs population, 107 banks are very much meager or very much less figure, which will have the financial impact. So the major suggestion in my thesis was to upgrade this banking sector in the tribal area by creating different branches in this which are reachable to this tribal people. If the banks are available, that the financial inclusion can be generated in this area by opening different bank accounts, by implementing different schemes through this bank's account, and making the tribal accessible to this banking services available for them, encouraging them to use this banking services for their day-to-day or their daily activities which they are not doing. In fact, within this 107 bank branches in the selected tehsils, 2,25,654 are individual banks accounts and 5,988 are joint accounts. Again, these joint accounts have access to the one person only. Remaining persons are not have that much accessible. Again, their financial inclusion have some restrictions because they don't have the access to this financial scheme directly. So making each and every individual accessible to these financial schemes which are introduced by the government, they should have a separate bank accounts which will lead their activities more, which will increase their banking activities more, and which will ultimately leads to the financial inclusion among these tribal people. Under this scheme, Manrega, a total of 4,35,825 tribal people were the beneficiaries up to 2020. It shows 87.78% people are benefited with the schemes directly. With the help of various financial schemes, they are saving their money, and also the transactions are done through the banks. Hence, it creates a direct impact on the financial inclusion and the development of the tribal farmers. From 656 respondents, 93% people have below rupees 50,000 income, and the remaining have the more than or which is also less than 5 lakhs annual income which they have. Okay, 83.3% people have their own houses, that is kacha houses, whereas very few people have the pakka houses as compared to this kacha houses. These were the analysis for my questionnaires. As you can see, bank accounts, I have got the answer, yes, they have the bank accounts, but while looking into the depth of this, they are not operative. They have the bank account, but it is not in operations. So which will again leads to some deterioration in the financial inclusion. The various saving accounts, as you can see from the figures, as private banks, public banks, cooperative banks, these are the findings I have got. Various services opted from the bank, what kind of services, whether they are using the ATM cards or not, whether they are using the internet banking or not. So you can see very few people uses the ATM cards as well as the mobile banking, and rest all services are not active in this tribal area. So making this all other services also active, which will also uplift their financial awareness. Reasons for social growth through financial inclusion, these are the different reasons which I have come across during my questionnaire. Schemes opted by tribals, there are n number of schemes. I have focused on the major schemes which have implemented by the government, and specifically for the tribal people. You can see only one or two schemes are opted by them, rest all schemes are not opted by them. So rest all scheme, you can say it has one of the failure in this particular area. The mechanism which is working on these schemes should look into the matter why these schemes are not that much active in this area. Is there any lacuna in these schemes? Whether the schemes are reachable to the tribals or not, whether the tribals are reaching to these schemes or not, this can be the one of the area where the mechanism can focus. Investment due to the schemes, because of these schemes, what kind of investments have taken place? Again, you can see only in 2-3 schemes they have the investment, rest all schemes are very less number of tribals who have opted there. You can see not more than 3% I can see over here. So 1 or 2-3 schemes are popular, and rest all schemes are not that much popular compared to this. So again, the funds which are deployed in the schemes, whether they are utilized or not, the mechanism should look into the matters. Conclusion of my thesis, I will summarize in short only. As the financial literacy is not that much developed in these tribal areas, that's why the financial inclusion is not that much developed in this area. The major thing is that the people are not aware of the financial mechanism available for them, such like the major financial mechanism is banks. Banks are not that much developed in this tribal area. The people are not aware of the banking schemes available to them. They are not opting the different services offered by the bank to them. So making them aware of these services which are available for them is the major task for the government, to make the awareness among the tribal people about the banking services. Banking services is not only keeping the deposits and withdrawing the deposits, it has many other services as compared to this. So the people should be made aware of the banking services available to them. Secondly, the financial schemes available to them specifically for the tribal, whether it is regarding to health, whether it is regarding to insurance, whether it is regarding to employability, whether it is regarding to investments, whether it is regarding to social upliftment, that should be introduced to the tribal. A door-to-door awareness should be taken place. Some camps should be organized for these tribals. Some what you can say cultural activities through which this financial inclusion or this financial schemes can be introduced to them, and make them opt for the scheme through a very easier way, because for opting the schemes very documentation work, heavy documentation work takes place. So the government can reduce the documentation work, because these people are illiterate. They avoid to have some writing documents and reading the documents. So making it easier for them, making it convenient for them can also make a major differences for opting these schemes. This model I have developed for the recommendation to the government and to the other mechanisms which are in the process of upliftment of the tribal people through the financial inclusion. Also, I have got the patent after further developing this model recently in January 2024 from the Patent Office of Government of India. Here you can see, first I have emphasized on the financial literacy. First we have to develop the financial literacy among the tribal people by making them literate of the financial services, of the financial mechanism available for them in the market. This can be done by introducing different financial schemes to them which are introduced by the government, making them understand of the financial products available for them. Financial schemes can boost the employment opportunity for them, and because of the employment, their financial status can be uplifted. which will develop their day-to-day standard of living. By using the different financial products such as banking services, which will have the circulation in the economy and which will ultimately have the financial inclusion among the tribal. Financial products available for them are which you can say mutual funds also can be introduced to them. They can be motivated to have the investments in the share market also, and which will ultimately have the financial inclusion in them and which will uplift them for the day-to-day life. I also suggested other recommendations to the government. Education activities have to be increased. Government agencies should redesign the financial literacy programs. The government also look into the matters of other financial services like savings and insurance, medical facilities, health facilities for them. Other recommendations I have also provided to the bank and banking facilities, which you can see over there, by introducing ATMs facilities for them, because as I have gone through these areas, only hardly 1 or 2 ATM services are there for the particular village area where the lakhs of population resides. So the one ATM cannot justify for this 1 lakh of populations which reside in particular pada or villages. And also the grassroots level awareness also should be done through the children's in their educational life, especially in the schools, colleges areas. These are the references which I have referred. I have referred different books. I have referred different research papers, reports, speeches of different authors, and also research thesis for my data collection and also for the questionnaire. I am thankful to my patrons who have given me this opportunity to present my thesis, my work to the audience. Thank you. Thank you overall. Thank you so much.
ज्ञानेन सदृशं पवित्रमिह विद्यते नहि ज्ञानेन सदृशं पवित्रमिह विद्यते नहि ज्ञानेन सदृशं पवित्रमिह विद्यते